Hey everybody, it's Squeegee Vanny, and in this video I'm going to show you the safest and most efficient way to use the Chaos Temple altar in the wilderness to train your prayer. Some of the pros of using this altar is you'll get the same amount of experience used as a gilded altar in the player-owned house, but you have a 50% chance of your bones not being consumed. And what that means is every time you use a bone on the altar, on a gilded altar, it'll be consumed, but on this altar, there's a 50-50 chance that you will retain the bone and you can use it again. So essentially, you're getting double the amount of prayer experience for the amount of GP spent. But unfortunately, there always has to be some cons, right? So it is deep in the wilderness as shown here. I think it's around level 40 wilderness, and it is in a multi-zone, which makes it even more dangerous. It is a hotspot for teams to seek it out to make money off players like you. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to best prepare yourself for this so you could save all of your GP and put all of it towards your prayer experience. I use this method to train pretty much to where I am now at level 77, and I only died a handful of times. And most of the times I died, my inventory was completely empty, so I was losing essentially nothing. One of the most important factors in this method is using the RuneLite client. I'm sure many of you do, but if you don't, that's essential for this method. So step number one, you want to go into the plugins option over here. So you can see this little gear option in the top right. You want to go into the plugin search bar and type in menu entry swapper. If it is not selected on, make sure it is on. Go into settings here. We are going to mess around with this berry setting. So this is the default settings, what yours will likely have. Right now, if you left click a bone, it will bury it. If we click this option right here, you could see our left click option now says use. This is essential because it'll save you so much time in the wilderness. You don't have to right click the bones to use them on the altar. You could just left click straight to the altar. That's step number one. Now that that step is completed, we could talk about gear and setup. So it's pretty simple. You obviously don't want to bring that many items because there's a chance of dying. These is what I usually enter the wilderness with. Just 3 items here. Dragon Hide, obviously optional. It just provides some extra defense against PKers. And also the Dragon Hide helps splash for if they want to freeze you or teleblock you, so it helps a little bit. The next item is essential. It is a Burning Amulet 5, and it will allow you to teleport to the lava maze, which is located pretty close to the Chaos Altar. So that is our method of transportation. Aside from that, obviously, the only other thing you'll need is bones. We are going to be using the suicide method, which means that we are going to bring 1 inventory of items. We are going to use that inventory of items, and then we are going to die on purpose as to prevent a bigger loss of occurring. There is a guy who sits outside the temple who you can exchange noted bones with, but that is obviously a riskier method, and the longer time spent out there, the more risk you have of getting killed by another PKer. So this is the method that I would recommend using. So now it's time to actually enter the wilderness, and we are going to do this. We have to go to the wilderness first to show you the last step in the process. So hopefully there's no PKers here. Teleporting is probably the most dangerous part because there could be people camping the spawn, even though I've never come across it. That would probably be the most likely chance of you losing money because your inventory would be full at that point. Once we get to the actual temple, we could use our bones on the altar and reduce the amount of GP we lose. So let's head over to the lava maze here. And we are going to get a warning because it is deep wilderness. I recommend clicking your logout screen or your logout tab here just in case you see a white bubble pop up. Zoom out on your mini map because you could get a little more of a heads up if there's a PKer. Keep an eye on the mini map. Always look for white bubbles. If you see one, log out. So this is the Chaos Temple here, and looks like it is empty right now. Perfect. So the last step is pretty simple. We're going to zoom in as much as possible. We're going to hold the Alt key on your keyboard, and you could move the inventory right next to the altar. This will allow you to make even quicker swaps between the bone and the altar. So we are going to do this, and I'll show you how fast it is, and then I'll show you the rest of the process. All right, the inventory is completed. So I recommend leaving the inventory where it is if you're doing multiple runs, obviously. And then always trying to keep the same position. So, because the inventory will move depending on where you are. So we are on the north side of the altar. So stay always over here. Whoops, I didn't mean to flip around my screen like that. And we want to position and store inventory as close to the altar as can be. Last step is just to kill yourself, and you could just drink these wines over here. You'll take some damage, it'll take a few clicks, but you'll eventually get there. Now we're gonna do a little experiment. I'm gonna do a run without the menu entry swapper and without moving my inventory closer to the altar and see how long it takes me to do the entire inventory. And then I'm going to redo the same exact run, but with the menu entry swapper and moving the inventory, just to show you how much more efficient and safer the method is. And there you have it. About 40 seconds to use that last inventory, and the first test was about 1 minute and 35 seconds. Crazy the difference. Obviously not a perfect test, but you could clearly see how much quicker it is and how much safer it is to be in the wilderness for about half the time. So hopefully this will help you on your journeys of becoming the most holy RuneScape player.